This is what it looks like to be unshakable, ladies and gentlemen. Let me explain that. Young men, we're just going to cut right to it. If you want to be an immovable mountain in your life, if you wish to be a strong alpha, I beg you, find a woman. Fall in love. Get married. Have more children than you can afford. Have insane amounts of kids. There's nothing the world can do to shake you if you do those simple steps. And if you acknowledge that God loves you and has a purpose for your life, that's it. That's it. And you are immovable, unshakable.
What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Ken here today, and we kind of want to get into like the state of dating in America, I guess. So Benny Johnson is kind of going viral because, you know, people are out here criticizing him. They're like, oh, this is irresponsible tweets, right? Here's an example of one. That's right, guys. Oops. Oh, sorry, guys, if you didn't see the screen. That's right, guys. Pretend it's 40 years ago when you didn't have 50% chance of losing half your ish. Go ahead and have 9 kids while you're grinding out 91 hours a week, moving mountains till you have a heart attack. This is such irresponsible BS advice. It's infuriating. Now, there's two ways you can look at this. You can look at this as, hey, this is just the ideal, right? Like, hey, you know, we understand that children are a motivating factor behind a lot of people's decision makings, right? They give you a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning in a way, right? And this is the example I'm talking about. If you're a single guy, I forgot this the income, but you can live comfortably on $60K a year, I believe, because men's expenses are just so low. Now, if you have a family, and this is essentially what Benny Johnson is kind of alluding to, the reality is you take on more expenses. But, you know, they're lovable expensive. Lovable liabilities. I heard that phrase somewhere. But essentially, that's what children, a wife, and other people are. Because, you know, you heard the adage, like, if you were in a wilderness, is it better? It'll be easier to take care of yourself, but there's trade-offs with that as well. You'll be more vulnerable. If you're by yourself, you're more likely to get jumped and get taken advantage of, right? This is why humans were programmed to be social creatures. And I kind of want to hone in on some of the advice that sometimes conservatives gives. And I, as a conservative myself, I think because I am a millennial, I'm younger, I'm 27 years old, right? I understand the realities of the current dating market, right? And a lot of the times when conservatives speak about marriage and dating, it seems they only lobby criticism at the men side of the issue, because conservatives rightly understand that men are the gatekeepers of marriage and relationships, but they don't really look at why these men aren't committing, right? And here's an example of this. Michael Knowles, remember, he went on the Whatever podcast, and Michael Knowles, to me, he's the more understanding conservative, but he still gives you ish for, you know, not following along with getting married and just having kids with any random woman you decide to pick. And they always like to give this vague word, oh, you must practice discernment. And in this video, I'm going to try to attempt what discernment is and try to articulate it the best I can as a millennial conservative. Let's take a look at this clip first, and then I'll give you my commentary at the end of the clip. Let's take a look.
Want to get married?
No.
No. Why not?
Uh-oh.
All right.
Yeah,
Brian.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All right, 1v7. Okay. Well, so I'm not opposed to necessarily having a life partner, but there are certain. I'm sorry, Michael. There are certain realities when it comes to marriage that, from the male perspective, make it seem risky.
Oh, only from the male perspective? Because I can feel like it's also risky from the female perspective.
How so?
I think you've never been in love.
I feel like,
yeah.
if you're thinking about risk factor, I feel like it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Okay, they're turning on me.
Well, but to your point, Brian, you make a good amount of money. The way the judicial system works, if a woman divorced you, she could take a bunch of your money, she could take your kids. So there's a risk. But my question is, if you're already going to have a life partner, which sounds, I'm sorry to say, kind of gay, like it's not gendered, it's not traditional.
Thank you for saying that.
It's just, so if you're going to do that anyway, but you want to protect against divorce, why not just marry a woman who's not going to get divorced?
Well, or get a prenup.
Literally.
So you're saying, like, well, if you find a great woman that you know that's
no, not even just that. I'm saying, because you could find the most wonderful woman in the world, and then I don't know, someday something goes off in her brain and she totally turns on you. But what if you create the structures such that you're not going to get divorced? I'll give you an example. I'm Catholic. My wife and I cannot get divorced. She could murder me. That would be her way out of the marriage. But it is not possible for us to get divorced. Now, if let's say you're not Catholic yet, and maybe you don't, you haven't worked through these things. Maybe.
Wait, did you say yet?
We're just talking. And
okay.
So, I'm saying, what if before you get married, you sign a prenup? But not the kind of prenup now. Not the kind of prenup where you say, okay, in case we get divorced, we get 50-50. What if you sign a prenup that says, if you divorce me,
I will kill you.
Yeah, I'll kill you. Whoever brings the divorce forfeits everything.
So yeah, you heard that video. So during the conversation, you can tell Brian wasn't uncomfortable, but it instantly changed, and it was about like emotionalism in a way. And for me, right, and I've seen a lot of people commentary about Benny Johnson, what he says. There's women in the comment section talking about how a man can't call himself a conservative. He doesn't value the family, and I kind of disagree with that statement. I think conservatism, what you're protecting is not really something like a ritual, a concreteness. I think what you're protecting as a conservative is your culture, your society, right? And culture is the bedrock of foundational of all this stuff. If you don't have a good culture that values marriage, that values families, is a culture that's going to have a higher divorce rate than a culture that doesn't celebrate divorce, that doesn't allow divorce, that condemns divorce, shames divorce, right? Your culture dictates a lot of the social norms and social standards and social expectations throughout your society. All you have to do is compare the 1960s. I always do this. When you look at the 1960s, you see how like 18-year-old boys, they look like 25-year-old dudes today. And you're like, yo, what's going on, right? It's because of the culture. Hey, there was an athletic expectation. There was an expectation that you weren't supposed to be obese, that you weren't tolerating none of this stuff. And it was during the World War. Now look at now we became a delicate, decadent culture. We're becoming sloppy with our standards, with ourselves. Look at it. Look at the obesity rate in America. Look at the academic standards that we have today in academia. We got people creating like fluff pieces. We have people cooking books. We have possibility that a Harvard president only published 11 scholarly articles, and almost half of them, or more than half of them, are plagiarized, allegedly. Look at the lack of standards. That's because of our culture. And as a conservative man, I don't believe my idea is, I have to protect the family. I live for the family. No, I live to protect my culture that has provided me certain results that I benefit from, and I want to pass these results to my kids. If I instill a culture in my family where it allows my kids to have a academic advantage over other kids. Oh, I learned how to read before I turned 6. I know how to do this. I know how to do that, because in our family tradition, we're taught these things at these certain age, and these strategies, these approaches are passed down from one generation to the next. That's what conservatives preserve. They preserve the thing that creates the outcomes. Hey, good families, and it's correct. The family it creates a stable household, whatever, but there's something that precedes that. And that's what I'm talking about, because to become this unmovable mountain, and this is just a personal perspective from me, who found my wife at 2015. I was 19 years old. I met my wife freshman in college, and I met my wife before Tinder became a thing. I was the last person, like the last group of people to meet their partner before online dating became a thing. And their stats, I think, shows that the reason why meeting someone through your social network has a higher chance of turning into a more tangible marriage than someone from online is because the person in your social network, if she does something bad to you, you do something bad to her, it causes negative ramifications throughout your whole social network. AKA, hey, there's no anonymity there. While if you meet someone online, it's anonymity. Oh, okay, only you two know each other. And even if anything happens, there's no cascading effect that affect people down the line in your social network unless you introduce that person to your social network. You get what I'm trying to say? But I say all this to say this is that I never hear any kind of call to action from the women's point of view. Women, be good, dutiful wives, right? Women, try not to sleep around. Women, get married young. Because we're still infested with this feminist culture where we know women value their careers more than the family. And this is a culture. Now, I'm talking about culture here. Now, I'm not saying anything about women. I'm talking about the culture. There's still a culture where women expect, oh, I'm supposed to have a career. I'm supposed to be doing stuff. I'm not supposed to go and find a partner before I find my career, right? Women are not thinking this way. And I'll show you an example why, right? So this is an article from 2019. Here's the date. September 25th, 2019, right? Women are struggling to find men who make as much money as they do. I'm going somewhere with this. Bear with me. A good man is hard to find, especially in this economy. 2019. The country is facing a crisis of broke dudes, according to new research from Cornell University, and has left successful women single and disgruntled. Now, here's how feminist culture set women up for failure in the dating market. What women bragged about when there was a whole article, women bragging about how in medical school there's more women than men, and there's no foreseeable future that will ever go back to the way it was. Feminists were celebrating this stuff. And I looked at it, I was like, if you're about equality, you wouldn't be celebrating inequality. But like I said, feminism was never about equality. It was about giving women power and eventually getting more power than men. That's what feminists love in the background. Here's the negatives though. There's now more high earning women, right? More women graduate from college than men. More women have more student loan. Women are the majority owners of student loan debt, right? And men don't have much student loan debt. So men are not one thing. A lot of marriages divorce through financial reasons. Here's as a millennial man. Here's my unsolicited advice for men out there: don't marry a woman that has student loan debt. Sorry, hey, I'm just saying, because that's more of that brings baggage into the relationship. That puts more financial strain on the relationship, right? That's one thing. Hey, as a man, I'll say that. Hey, I'll tell my son this: they don't marry no woman who has student loan debt, because it shows she don't have a family that prepared to pay her student loans, right? And it just shows that she has no financial literacy in a way, because finances, it has a big impact on marriage. And I make sure, like when I married my wife, me and her had no student loan debt, because she came from a 2-parent household and her dad didn't make a lot of money. Her mom was an accountant, and she was able to. They paid her way through school, and she herself worked full time to cover the rest of where her family couldn't. So I'm like, oh, this is a responsible woman. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. That when conservatives talk about discernment, they need to define it. They need to articulate it. And discernment pretty much is find a woman that aligns as close to your values as possible. All right. If you're a Christian, hey, more likely than not, make sure a woman, she don't have to be Christian, but she has her actions, her mentality, her worldview has to be similar to that for those values that you espouse. Getting back to the video, women are struggling to find a man who makes just as much money as they do. And then this video goes on to shame men, condemn men, how men are being lazy. There's a shortage of economically attractive men because there's more women than men. Remember, women, you graduate college more than men, and you celebrated that because you didn't think long term about that. Here's the next article that counters the point. That kind of revamps my point. 70% of top male earners in the U.S. have spouses who stay at home, who are stay-at-home moms. Pretty much. What is the top 1%? I have the income for you guys right here in this article. Sorry if this video is a little long. The top 1% of, according to 2021 annual wages, is $800,000 a year, man. 70% of these men have stay-at-home wives. I'm below the top 10% of earners, and I have a stay-at-home wife. So the career women, these career women who are out here saying, oh, all these men are lazy, lecturer who has been studying marriage for 30 years says that the gig economy and a lack of good jobs have contributed to the dearth of the well-to-do dudes. So women, if you're focused only on economics, the men that you want don't really marry career women, because at the end of the day, they're like, yo, I have enough stress as well. I want family. I want kids. I need an opposite. Men look for their opposite. They don't look for the same. Men don't look for power couples. And that's a lie that's been fed by women, by feminist culture. And it seems like conservative women kind of eating this stuff up too. Oh, Like, this is why I respect Candace Owens, because I remember she was on the PBD podcast and she mentioned how she'll give up her whole career because she knows the most important thing is her family. And I think a lot of women are not looking at it from that point of view. I think a lot of women are looking things from a materialistic consumerism point of view. That's the only reason you will want a power couple. Oh, I want to buy the fanciest house. I want to have the biggest house possible. Yeah, you're going to need to have two incomes. If you're trying to get them, if your goal is to have as much stuff as possible to flex on people, to show, because in our culture today, in our consumerism culture today, name brands, these are ways of people getting status, keeping up with the Joneses. It's been a thing since forever. Who knows? That we want to compete and compare and contrast against each other and to show, oh, look how good we're doing. Look how good we look. Right? I sacrifice a lot for my lifestyle. Me and my wife, we downsized to one car. I paid off my car, nothing fancy, Honda Accord, right? That's the driver, right? Got a house, right? We keep our spending manageable. We follow a budget. We have some money where we're like, hey, this is discretionary income. We can do whatever we want with this amount of money budgeted. We do planned spending and we make it work, but that takes discipline, and I think that's what we lack in our culture today, from both the men and female perspective. But for so long, I always hear the older conservatives, older millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, always chastise, oh man, go get married. Go. And I'm like, do the women want to get married? There's a culture out here where women care about their career more than a relationship. I just did a inconvenient truth about feminist culture, and I'll probably link it. It'll probably be the suggested video after this one, where I talk about how college women has been steeped in feminist culture since they were born. Imagine that. And I think we're putting the cart before the horse. It's like the marriage is the end result of the culture and the norms and all. We got to fix those things first before I think we start telling men to get married. And if men happen to find the perfect woman in their own given time, I try, because to me, it's up to the individual. Right, just like I don't like the government giving general prescriptions throughout whole swaths of society, I believe the individual knows best for their specific situation about if marriage is good or not. I think as a conservative, what we should worry about is the culture that facilitates these negative and bad results, and we should chastise that, fix that. I like Michael Noll's idea about, hey, let's bring back fault divorce. Hey, if you're the person who brought up the divorce, you shouldn't be expected to get any reward or benefit from doing that, because that's an incentive. This is, as a conservative, where I think is more meaningful for us to start talking about and pushing for changes to the incentive structure that's currently existing in our society today. I think that's what I like to focus on. But hey, let me know what you guys thinking about it. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with Benny Johnson here? You're kind of in the middle. Give me your thoughts in the comment section. I would like to hear them. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys for watching this long ass video. I know it's been long, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.